When I was a kid, South Korea wasn't very popular. I came from a generation where everything cool was in Japan. Video games and anime, ninjas and Japanese girls. Everything was Japan, Japan, Japan. No one really gave Korea a second thought. It was just sort of there.
Honestly, I wanted to go to Korea because of the Korean dramas. Someone recommended me City Hunter, 49 Days, Stop, You're Surrounded, and Boys Over Flowers. When I was finished, I needed to go.
I think a couple of years before Gangnam Style and the American interest to K-pop and drama, Korea sort of snuck up on the West. It's proof of power of the influence of media. Most of my teenage years, I knew mostly Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, and Filipino. There's the occasional Korean person, and they were only Korean to me. Like, oh, you're Korean. So fast forward to present times, and I'm working part-time at a hotel. It was mostly fun. I've always wanted to work at a hotel, and on my first day, I was stuck in orientation with this kid named Antonio.
I first thought Louis was super serious at orientation, but then the day went by and we goofed off. Everything was hilarious.
It turns out he was really into Asian stuff. This kid was like a banana-flavored Kit Kat bar, or a brown egg. Yellow on the inside, brown on the outside. He just wouldn't shut up about Korea. So he pesters me about going to Korea with him. Like, hey, when are we going to Korea?
We counted down every day for 5 months. I kept having dreams. I had this nightmare where I forgot my passport. I dreamt blue dreams.
We planned this for several months, not really planning, just really winging anything. In retrospect, that was a very horrible decision. I tried to learn some Korean on YouTube, but I'm very bad at learning new languages. By this time, our job really sucked. The trip to Korea was a light at the end of the tunnel, and every day we counted down. The day it happened, I was so excited I went to the airport way early in the morning. The place was dead empty. I've been to a lot of trips to Asia, but I was just so excited to go to this one. My mind was already there, even though I was in Houston. I was like, shit, in under 24 hours, I'm gonna be in Seoul for New Year's.
My parents drove me there. I made them listen to Japanese and Korean music during the ride. My parents made me promise to call them every day.
When I saw Antonio at the airport, first thing we said was, we made it, man, we made it. We were surrounded by so many Koreans, it was like hanging around H Mart.
Korean won was the gayest looking money I've ever seen, and I've seen pesos. I swear, a picture of my boss was on the money. I didn't know why it went up so high. 50,000 won? Fuck!
We picked Korean Air because it was the appropriate airline. A lot of airlines were cheaper, but during work, we were constantly bombarded with Korean Air television ads. So, when we saw the stewardesses at the airport with their sky blue uniforms, we were like, ooh, it's just like the commercial.
The airline was okay, but I was somewhat disappointed. It wasn't anything like the commercials. It was nice though.
We sat next to Sky. Antonio had the window seat, I had the aisle. There was this guy sitting next to us who was just pissed off right at the moment we sat next to him. He was a Korean national. Young guy, nice guy. Probably thought we were loud, obnoxious Americans. We annoyed the crap out of him. Fortunately, I also made a friend with this toddler, Evelyn, at the adjacent aisle. My sweet Evelyn. She was entertaining.
I felt for a brief moment in time I escaped from all my problems. It had a nice feeling to it. The ride reminded me of all the times I flew back to Mexico as a kid. I just tried to enjoy it. I felt calm, relaxing.
The ride was real smooth. I loved the plane. They had video screens that dual served as video games with arcade classics like Pac-Man, Tetris, the soccer game, and man, Street Fighter 2. It was awesome playing Street Fighter 2 thousands of feet in the air.
The food was better than I expected. It had a lot of flavor to it, and plus it was Korean food. For airplane food, it was decent quality. They fed us constantly and it was pretty filling.
Antonio brought these cat-eared headphones, so he was mostly just listening to music. It sucks they didn't have Wi-Fi.
I was trying not to fall asleep because I didn't want jet lag. I did sleep for 5 hours. Lou snored for most of the ride.
Great service, excellent selection of Korean drama and K-pop music. And there's this GPS system that tracks how much time's left for arrival. Watching that thing was like watching paint dry, but we checked it a lot anyway. Overall, the trip was about 15 hours. It was probably the smoothest economy experience I've had. The moment we arrived at Seoul, it was a feeling of uncontrolled excitement. Everything was really cloudy, and we'd arrived on a rainy day. The airport was in Incheon, which is basically like how LaGuardia Airport is in Queens. It's far from the main city. We just couldn't wait to get off, and what awaited us was this gorgeous airport. Nothing like what a piece of shit Bush Airport was in Houston. Incheon Airport was just gorgeous. It was modern with pieces of cultural exhibitions everywhere, just to remind you you're in South Korea. They've out-westernized the West. Very friendly, lots of English words everywhere.
The airport was 10 times better than Bush. It was very respectable and clean with nice security. They searched my baggage because I said I brought a knife, but even during the searching they were very nice. A cute girl searched me, it kicked ass. If this was Korea, our trip started on a good note.
Reality set in. We wanted snow, but global warming had other plans. This was not how I'd pictured Korea in wintertime. It took us forever to get a cab, but when we finally did, the driver was eager to take us. We showed him the address and got a 60 won flat rate. Antonio had 1 million bags with him. I only had 1. We put the bags in ourselves.
I've always been suspicious of taxi drivers in general. I just had this bad feeling that something would happen.
There wasn't much to notice. I was sleepy but curious enough to see what I could. People drove left here, just like the US, and all I could see were developing suburbs. Much of the countryside was dull, but then it quickly turned night and Seoul crept in.
The taxi stopped in the middle of a residential area. I was confused. I even gave the driver the address in Korean. He dropped our bags and burned rubber, and I wouldn't arrest until I get my 60,000 won back. We were alone. I was ready to fight.
We were freaking out, I'll be honest. How far were we? Even if it wasn't snowing, it was freezing outside. Antonio was carrying his 1 million suitcases, and Seoul was very hilly. The area was empty, but I finally found a guy leaving a coffee shop.
The guy and his wife offered to drive us to the hotel. I was surprised someone could be so nice. I was suspicious, but I didn't care because it was cold. We offered them money, but they gave us calendars. We rode in a spacious Hyundai.
Thanks to them, we made it to 4 Points. We ate a bit, got lost, and crashed into separate hotel rooms. I'll never forget how kind those 2 people were, but it made me realize how trusting Koreans are. It was a pattern I found over and over again in Seoul. I was really liking the city.
No mercy, no remorse. 나를 쥐, 밟고 뒤통수. 채 미친 놈들과 내 목을 노린 곰스. 끝까지 머리 위로. Victory.